Ladies and gentlemen, valued attendees, Trends Research and Advisory Center is honored to express their thanks and appreciation to you for your presence and for accepting the invitation to take part in the second edition of Trends International Education Conference organized by the Center in partnership and collaboration with Bahrain Institute for Political Development under the title of Education and Identity in the Digital Age, Proposed Strategies for Preserving Identity and Shaping Youth Behaviors. Today, our conference will be highlighting throughout its session the challenges and risks facing education and identity in a changing world, as well as addressing the present and future of education and identity in the AI and digital revolution age. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen, and now let's enjoy watching a short documentary film on the conference. تمام كده؟ بجد؟ سامعني كويس أنت؟ تمام. In a technology-based age. Okay, خلاص.
بقول لك كان معايا قلم اسود كده.
يا علاء
قلم اسود.
عايزين؟
كان معايا قلم.
ما اعرفش والله.
اوكي.
ونصنع غدا أفضل لشبابنا.
And now
أدعو
I
الدكتور
invite His
محمد عبد
Excellency
الله
Professor
العلي
Muhammad
رئيس
Abdullah Ali, the
تنفيذي
CEO
لمركز
of
ترند
Trends
للبحوث
Research and
والاستشارات إلى
Advisory
المنصة
Center to the
لإعلان
stage
انطلاق أعمال
to announce
المؤتمر
the launch of the
وإلقاء الكلمة
conference and
الافتتاحية
deliver his
فليتفضل
opening
مشكورا.
and welcoming speech. The floor is yours, sir.
السلام عليكم
Peace
ورحمة
of God be
الله.
upon you.
أسعد الله صباحكم جميعا بكل
Good morning,
خير.
everybody.
سعادة
Your
الدكتور
Excellency
علي
Ali
بن محمد
Muhammad
المليحي رئيس مجلس أمناء معهد
the
البحرين
chair of
للتنمية
trustees of
السياسية.
the Bahrain
أصحاب
Institute
المعالي
for Political
والسعادة
Development, Your
أيها
Highnesses
الحضور
and
الكريم،
Excellencies, dear
السلام
attendees,
عليكم
dear
ورحمة
attendees,
الله
peace of God be
وبركاته.
upon you.
يسعدني أن نرحب بكم جميعا في افتتاح مؤتمر ترندز الدولي للتعليم الذي نعقده
conference organized by our partners in the Bahrain Institute for Political Development, as we're going to be discussing a very important, such an important topic for the future, for the present and future, which is education and identity in the digital age. Propose strategies for preserving the identity and shaping the youth behaviors. In participation with elites of experts in the UAE and the Kingdom of Bahrain, our dear attendees, when we discuss the links and the historical relationship between education, identity, and digital technology, we're gonna discuss one of the research, most important researches and intellectual ideas, to discuss about how to preserve identity and how can it prevail all it can acquire in our GCC countries. An exceptional aspect within the accelerating development of our countries in the information technology and AI. And its applications in various aspects of life. In addition to our communities is enjoyed with diversities, which gives a lot of opportunities as well as challenges. The interests of the region governments on the identity and the role of identity and education and its impacts and effects reflects clearly the trends of its continuous aspects to develop programs, activities supporting the national identity in different aspects and sectors. as well as in various organizations, particularly the educational organizations, as they are the cornerstone of the national identity and sustaining the culture in the youth. Assuming that education is one of the most important aspects for bringing up and shaping the character and personality in general. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, dear there is no doubt that our developments related to digital technologies and its modern applications have and are still producing hybrid productions to reflect the digital age, which gives more burden on the shoulders of the experts to maintain the national and preserve the national identity and its pillars. Especially, we are living in a youth world where all the young men are, which requires interaction with all requirements of the requirements, which preserves the identity, which presents a cornerstone in many aspects to preserve our future and identity. To interact with the world, the cultures, we have to go concurrently with preserving the future, because interaction with the world and its different cultures and tools represent a footprint or a renaissance present and an identity which should safeguard our country, save our countries from being melted in the age of the digital technologies, which puts our culture in facing the renewable challenges. As education is a corner or pillar stone of education to face the challenges of the digital age, and with the outspread of the accelerating challenges in the wave of the information, especially in the social aspect. So it should require us as researchers as well as specialists to focus continuously on studying such changes and to identify the impacts in order to make benefit of the opportunities made available, and also in collaboration with to interact with the challenges facing the community challenges. Again, we would like to welcome you and we thank you for your listening. Looking forward that this conference will be a qualitative addition to sustain the national identity in our countries, in our GCC countries, and thank you so much. كان في حاجة ولا إيه؟ Thank you, Professor Muhammad Abdullah Al Ali, for delivering the speech for the conference. Now, I invite Her Excellency Professor Iman Junahi, the CEO of Bahrain Institute for Political Development, to the stage to deliver her opening speech. Your Excellency, the floor is yours. In the name of Allah, Your Excellency, Professor Muhammad Abdullah Al Ali, the CEO of the Trends Research and Advisory, His Excellency, the Muhammad Arumehi, the Board of Trustees Chairman of the Bahrain Development for Political Development, Your Excellency, first of all, and on behalf of myself and on behalf of the Bahrain Institute for Political Development, allow me to welcome you all for your presence and participating in such a significant conference in our sister country, UAE. Hoping that it could be the beginning of mutual collaboration with our brothers at the Trends International Advisory Research and Advisory Center, which represents a mutual between the two friendly countries, brothers and sisters. The Bahrain Institute for Political Development is considered one of the pioneering institutes to spread the culture and the awareness for human rights. And since its inception with the royal decree issued by His Highness King Isa Khalif in 2005, we have been working to implement its vision through a lot of programs and activities, which contributed to that the Bahraini national acquire a lot of political concepts, and to encourage him to participate in his role and in the political process as well. say, as just like the Kingdom of Bahrain has set an exemplary model for which acquired the attention and the admiration of the whole world. For over years, our Arab culture has come across a lot of changes which have been introduced to us lately, affecting the younger generations, and which by replacing the cultures of the identity, which will ask us to work seriously and quickly to stop this acceleration and to instill and sustain and consolidate to enjoy a prosperous future, and for the future generation to protect our identity and our genuinity. For all this conference comes under the title of Education and Identity in the Digital Age, proposes strategies for preserving the identity and shaping the future, the youth behaviors, as a step to launch an effective step about the identity of such challenges and the techniques of how to combat and tackle them, which should start from the very first early years of childhood, through educational tools to instill our Arabic traditions and to be able to face all challenges. We will be working together to address topics and themes for programs to safeguard our holistic culture and how to affect the youth by simulating the tools, which has affected their behaviors and ideas. Now, we cannot address the generations of this age after the digital age is considered now the first channel to refer to interact to, with no borders or no control. And at the end of my speech, I would like also to thank you again for your presence and wish you all the best in the success of this conference. And thank you again.
We extend our thanks to His Iman Janahi for what she has presented in her welcoming speech. Ladies and gentlemen, you follow a speech to His Highness Dr. Muhammad bin Mubarak Juma, the Minister of Education of the Kingdom of Bahrain. Then you will follow a recorded speech to Professor Dr. Ahmed Zayed, the Director of Library of Alexandria. In fact, I'm very pleased to be with you participating through this speech as a speaker in the Conference of Education and Identity in the Digital Age. And there is no doubt that today the educational systems feel that the responsibility which has on its shoulder. All educational establishments have been changed. It have not been as it used to be before. It's a responsibility not only to convey knowledge and education, but in addition to that, they have to be committed to preserve the national identity, the values in this place of the world. Of course, a lot of us rely on the educational institutions to protect their generation from the cultural or thoughtful invasion. There is a big role for the digital platforms and the social media and the different platforms to research. These are open platforms, and there are a lot of impact on the youth and the adolescents. And so the schools has a huge responsibility to instill the system of values and customs and traditions and religion and the language and the culture and some other things, a lot of other things. We need them in our Gulf and Arab area or region. It has become very important that the cooperation between the school and the family has been more than it used to be, and the cooperation and teacher and parents has been very important than it used to be. This cooperation aims to convey education and knowledge, and on the other side it must aim to protect this system, which we are very pleased and honored in this place of the world. There are the targeted programs aimed to the children, which focus on their values and the traditions, and also focus on the tradition values we have been raised on, and also the gains which our countries have achieved in this place to protect the cultural heritage and the customs and the tradition. This system, if it is affected, it will be difficult to reinstill these values in the minds of the children. So it is very important today that we must keep the leisure time of the children to important things and valuable things, and we don't have to leave the smart systems and the electronic content to keep the children busy and consume a lot of their time. So we must fill their leisure time of valuable things, and which is relevant and enhances values and the traditions which we are aiming to instill in the Middle East and the Gulf area. I wish to this important conference, which focuses on an important topic, that there must be some recommendations which are very important, which will enhance the entire education system, and the early education and the public education system and higher education and all other levels of education, aiming to help the educational institutions to do their roles. We must work together to enhance the social supervision and the role of the psychological role, and also the family follow-up. All these things help to protect the children and the children, and to raise them up at a sound level to shape national and sound systems to help their countries, and to stick to the valuable values. Thank you, and we wish the best luck for all the speakers, and I will be expecting to the outcomes from insightful ideas, and we will look forward to meeting you again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you. Good morning. I welcome you from the Escandinavia Library, and I'm very pleased to participate or to share you with this important conference, which focuses on the education and the national identity in the digital age. There is no doubt that this topic is very important, especially we live in a world which is full of challenges and its transformation. We cannot follow them, and there's no doubt that these changes have a big impact on the identity in different communities. This topic, if we try to tackle or deal it with in a right way, we must focus on the definition of identity. We talk about identity, we talk about the national ideas, which is focused with the values, and there is no doubt that the national identity is to help this community to preserve its culture, values, and the customs, its arts, like folklore, for example, and other things. So the community must keep this ideas, this culture as a whole. So we must define styles of the different communities in order to preserve the identity through the focus on the culture. These words might be correct in all the communities which I knew in the traditional community where culture was stable to some extent, and the challenges and the changes which the culture had been exposed to over the past years. But the digital age which we live, as we mentioned at the beginning, the challenges which take place are very fast, around the clock, and there are a lot of flows at the different levels, thoughtful flows and technological thoughts, and the globalization and the capital and the consumption and the products and all these forms of changes, all these types of flows which the world has witnessed, which change the world to become a small village. In this age, we cannot predict what the impact of these changes might affect a specific area. So the changes might happen in a place, and then the impact might happen in a far area. These facts about the challenging and the changing about the digital age is different from the other ages. We live a real revolution in this age, which is called the fourth revolution, and sometimes it is called, we live continuous revolutions, fourth and fifth and sixth revolutions. We live in a continuous revolution. The identity has become a dilemma, a real problem, which is dispersed and exposed to risk and danger. In the presence of these openness and the horizon, the culture horizon has become very important in different places of the world, and there are new electronic platforms which are open around the clock in front of the youth and the emerging generations, which affect their personality and the shape of their personalities and their tendencies, and they push or make them decline from the right way or the path or the original natural path. And this is the source of danger on the identity. So the speech on preserving the identity and the emerging identity in the digital age is very important, and we must focus on this topic. And there is no doubt that education is playing a great role on preserving the role and the social race and the media and the cultural frames and the religion frame. Education is very important, where the identity is shaped, and we talk about the education impact on shaping the identity. We can talk about three levels. The first level, the education to shape types of knowledge. It creates among the youth the solidarity or the solid psychological stability and the cultural stability, which enable them to face these changes with their minds and with all different these things. This is a big impact on the education to form different knowledge. The second level of image, the role the education plays in forming awareness, the awareness of the globalization and the digital world, the awareness of all these things about social relationship. So we must be aware of all these things, of the changes which take place. If I will be able to form resistant awareness, which has a bad effect on the identity. So the awareness is very important. The level 3 is the shaping of the citizen. So we have an education for citizenship, but we focus on the whole and the sound national who is able to do a profession to serve this country, and the education plays an important role in identity. So the education is very important and has different values. The values of the mutual values, and the education must have coherence, and so the identity plays an important role, and the education plays an important role in the identity. And we can talk about different dimensions, and I preferred to focus on these three levels: the education in knowledge and informing awareness, and also this participates in the adherence of the identity in this digital age. And I would like to thank you for this important conference, and peace be upon you all. We would like to extend our sincere thanks to Mr. Muhammad Barak Jum'a, the Minister of Education in Kingdom of Bahrain, and we'd like to invite His Excellency Muhammad Al-Kuwaiti, the Chairman of the Cyber Security Council of the UAE. In the name of Allah, peace be upon you all. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Your Excellencies, and thank you for this nice coverage, which today we are requesting, and we are in a bad need of such conferences, which focus on the education, the importance of education. Especially when what we see in the challenges and the changes of this age. I would like to focus on some important topics of the conference, and I feel that the speakers will consider these also. So we talk about the cyber security attacks. We cannot, we are always on the cyber security attack, and this is very important. And digital challenges have been involved in the education sector, water sector, electricity sector, and all the sectors are focused on the digital transformation. So we talk also about the AI and the education and its effect on the curriculum. And the education is required these days to use the applications of the AI, and also the assessment of the students also. There are not even levels, but there is a diversity of levels of assessment to be used to assess students. So there are the main platforms which rely on the digital infrastructure. There are many different educational systems which use AI, and we remember what happened during COVID-19, we started to work online, and our country and the Gulf countries, they focus on the digital transformation in different sectors. Technology will be used at all sectors, but there are risks, there are threats. Of course, we agree, we witness these risks every day. I don't talk about a 12-year girl old. It was a top student or an excellent student with the awareness and the qualification. She is reluctant to join the school again because of bulliness. We talk about the educational system and the leakage of and the selling data, and we have witnessed these. And I'm not talking about the fiction or imaginary stories. These happen in reality. And we can see the suicide cases because the student lives in a virtual age and he does not differentiate between the reality and the fiction, and he is bullied, and then he commits suicide in different ways, and he looks for these topics of committing suicide online. So the challenges are huge and the risks are huge on education. And we are approaching technology, and through these challenges are different. We have the cybersecurity attacks or crimes. The cybersecurity crimes, the platforms and the social platforms have helped to these things. We have blackmailing crime, we have frauding and rumors, and also there are hackers which the individual is affected by it, and for the sake of financial purposes, and there are different social and political reasons. We every day we face many different attacks. The second threat, the cyber security terrorism. We have some people who spread their terrorism ideas which are not related to or irrelevant to our culture or our heritage. This is the cyber security terrorism, which we call it that way, and which is based on deepfake, about AI, about using different platforms. These have helped to make these attacks real. We have here also the cyber security wars. We have the active platforms which have negative impact on our infrastructure, social infrastructure, and these wars target all our sectors in the UAE, and so the cyber security has become very important, and we have started to think of making this completed. So we'd like to get a safe digital transformation which is based on legal decisions and legal issues. So the UAE has its 2071, and there is a vision that the UAE must be a smart AE smart country, and we have been trying to do a lot of things to do that, but we have threats. How can we solve these threats? How we can combat these threats? We have a lot of experts who to spread the cyber security. We need the community to be the first defense line, that the community will help us to combat these attacks. The UAE has been exposed to many cybersecurity attacks, like the leakage of data, and we people who follow this can see that these attacks are changing, and thank God our digital transformation has become very important and has become very competent, which will help us to have stability. And I say focus on the cybersecurity attacks or cybersecurity attacks after we had seen a lot of attacks on the snap attacks, and also through these electronic or platforms which spread rumors and spread attacks. What is our role as community and as individuals and as establishments? We have criteria and the policies. We are committed to them, and we audit with them, with our main partners, and we have a strategy in the UAE. We have 5 levels governance to set strategies and policies, and some other legislations which ease to the criteria and being compliant. The second level of the UE is focused on building the national UE individual, which is based on our heritage, our traditions, the national loyalty to the UE, and we deliver lectures to focus on the digital loyalty, which is based on virtual and also creativity of the ideas with which we have with our main partners, and we and the fourth level, defense and the protection. We are considered members of the first defense line. We are all representatives of our families, our community. So this is very important. The individual must be a representative of the first defense line. And thanks for trends plays an important role, and all media and institutions participate with us to spread this awareness, this culture. And also we talk about the cyber security crimes, and we have platforms and we have our media which has helped us to combat these attacks. Partnership, these attacks are cross-bordering attacks. So we these attacks aim our thoughts, our mindsets, and this education system, and aim our emerging generation, our students. So it's very important to spread this partnership. This is international partnership, national partnership, and the UE had the seventh position 3 years ago, but today we have the fifth position, and we are looking forward to getting the first position all over the world. So I would like to extend my thanks and about spreading the cyber security awareness, and you will be our partners in the first defense line to protect your children, your brothers, your citizens. So we are completing our mission, and we focus on the importance of getting the good side of the AI. Thank you for the second time. Thank you again for all, and I have been honored to be with you today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti, the chairman of the Cyber Security Council of the UAE, for his speech. Your Highness and Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear attendees, allow me to invite to the stage the speakers of the first session, which will be discussing and it will be moderated by Dr. Lulu Bodlama, the journalist and strategic advisor. And honestly, it's such a great and important and such a landmark event, and also an important topic to talk about, and also for the attendees. Allow me to welcome you in the first session on the International Education Center, proposes strategies for preserving the identity and shaping the youth behaviors. I'm honored to invite to the stage our panel discussion representative for the topic education identity in a changing world, challenges and risks. Let me allow His Excellency Ali bin Muhammad Al-Rumehi, the chairman of Board of Trustees of Bahrain Institute for Development and member of Shura Council in the Kingdom of Bahrain, as well as also assuming a position in the Ministry of Education in Bahrain. also Her Excellency Sheikh Hamay bint Sulaiman Al Utaibi, the deputy chair of the Board of Trustees of Bahrain Institute for Political Development, and as well as the Vice President of Bahrain International School. Also, I invite Her Excellency Sumaya Abdul Latif, the Humanities and Social Sciences Chairman of and Researches at Ajman University, and Her Excellency Noor Al-Kedbi, the head of Department of Scientific Research and experts at the Sharjah University. Allow me to start with you and with my dear guests. And honestly, you might also find that a big audience to emphasize the importance of sticking time. We have 75 minutes to discuss about such a significant topic and important for everybody. I wish you all the best for the timing of the UAE. The first topic will be the educational tools and the mechanisms to enhance the national identity. Your Excellency Dr. Ali, is education actually at risk? Is there any risk or digitalization of the identity? Is there any threat on the identity? In the name of Allah, let me express my delight to be in my second country, the United Arab Emirates, which we love a lot. I'm really among my family and my colleagues. I thank you so much for inviting me and for such a great organization and the hospitality. I also thank them all for organizing this conference and choosing this topic, because there is no doubt that this topic is the talk of the hour. It's everybody's concern now. The national identity topic is, in general, or general speaking, or its aspects affecting our GCC region. When we talk about national identity, we are talking about local or international ones. We have first to admit that we have the same Gulf identity when we talk about the language, habits, history, background, religion. So we have all the same Gulf identity. Now, like over 1 hour, there was a video for His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the President of the United Arab Emirates, with his brother, His Highness Sheikh Mash'al, the Prince of Kuwait, during his visit to the UAE. It was a 30-minute video clip, but it has a lot of our Gulf cultural aspects, which I can summarize in 3 situations: modesty, respecting the age, and appreciating the guests. This is our culture. When we talk about identity, we have to start with the family, a whole family, the royal family, the dynasty. It's a whole community. So with the solidarity, talking about the danger of what's happening today on our identity, it started like 100 years ago, when people discovered before that the Gulf communities were closed. After the exploration of the discovery of the oil, so we have attracted all nationalities of the world. So we are talking about the dangers of all such diversified communities on our identity. But thank God, because we have deeply rooted culture, we did not change. So our identity resumed till 1990, or in other words, in the second half, like 1997 or 1997. So there was a little bit fear. It was 1990. There was the inception of the satellite, and everybody was talking about the danger of all satellite channels on the family. So it kept going till 2003, when the social media attacked us. Now, or today, our parents today, like who were born in the 80s or 90s, it's not that strange on them, because they have used the internet, they have used the social media. They have their sense of fear might be a little bit less than ours. We are the previous generation. Our concerns is started to be increasing. Holding such a type of conferences is just like feeling the sense of responsibility. So we have to thank our organizers of the event. The first stage of risk, it was language and the importance of language. The UNESCO in 2003, they have like a guideline document emphasizing the importance of education in the mother language. There are some, like, let's say, mistakes, or it might be complacency of some private educational organization in teaching Arabic, and this is a great alarm. Language is not related to development, and the biggest evidence of which is Japan. Japan has introduced a language called the language of the nation, and it was obligatory for all organizations to use the language. Education in Japan should be in the Japanese language. They did not introduce any other language in their basic education. It does not mean that we might say that language might affect or impact our culture. If, on the contrary, we are all in a dire need of language, and all our children speak different languages, but we cannot be complacent for the Arabic language. But because you cannot introduce yourself to the other civilization, to the other nation, unless you know about the language. Always we hear about ethics. And when you talk about, when you sit with a group of people, of educated people, and let me see this opportunity to thank for all male and female teachers for all the relentless efforts exerted by them. And I really praise and commend this experience, because I came across teaching at the university for a short period of time, and I know how much struggling the teachers or the educators might struggle or suffer from because of the external impacts. The impact of the external effects was in the television, but it was limited control. And now we have tens of thousands of material that we are watching on a daily basis, that the teacher should make a control, should conduct a control on such materials. The topic of ethics, as we know, Japanese teach the subject titled ethics. And for our culture, our Prophet Muhammad, to complete the good ethics or good practice of ethics, which emphasizes that Arabs enjoy such ethics: honesty, credibility, transparency, and integrity, even in the golden age, in the previous ages. So we have to, so these nations should keep moving forward toward this initiative. So I have talked about the legacy or the heritage, religion aspects. The last point I need to talk about is to emphasize the biggest mistake that we are facing these days, the lack of confidence of this current generation in our community. Why? Especially who traveled abroad, and unfortunately he was or she was quite impressed with the Western community. Admiration of the Western community was not in the right place, for a simple reason, because the Western community is dissolved, disengaged. They are materialistic. The Western community is far away from the topic of the national identity. We are in the East, and the Arab nations and the Islamic countries, we have history. And I'm really sad when I see somebody talking about, like, for example, in 1783, for example, the UK admitted acknowledged the United States as an independent country in such date. It was at the Paris conference. In 1783, Bahrain was founded as as a Muslim modern Arab country by Sheikh Ahmed Al-Fatih. We enjoy history, we have religion, the tolerance of religion, we have the heritage and legacy history, but we still need to sustain or to enhance such traits for the next generations. They have to be convinced that we are a nation who offered a lot for the humanity to continue through its preservation for such traits and aspects. So if we keep preserving these traits, that we are in safeguard.
If you talk about the national education, which is based on identity, can you talk about the different managers of this in education? For us, education has many pillars. Education has many pillars. The most important pillar is the approach and the strategy. Ministry of Education for the country must be concerned with the educational curriculum and the way they are presented, and they must develop them. The curriculum must focus on the identity and nationality, the identity of the citizen. And the identity, national identity, not through the curriculum, or we call it national. It is called, we don't know what it's called in the UAE, but citizenship must be practiced in different ways. And we try in education in Bahrain that we develop this principle. The practices, and I connect the practices with education and identity, and the family relations is the second pillar, because for me I see now 75% the child spends it at school. Parents have become very busy. They have been busy until 8 p.m. and women help their husbands because of the costly expenses. So the wife has been very busy, but the child is attracted mostly by school and his colleagues or his friends in life. In addition to that, and the social media and the computers and all these things. So the child the child must be careful, because the child has become isolated from the reality because of the social media. Who can help him? The school and education can help him mostly. And as the speakers say, education is the main approach. We focus on health, but the education has led, and the school has led, and the school is the basis for everything. So, but the school and the teacher and the family are the main pillars who help the children. So we must focus on the education, select the right school for our children, because the children spend 75% of their time. So the second thing, or the third thing, is to develop the teacher. We talk about the identity, we talk about education, we talk about curriculum, but we have not noticed in the Gulf countries, we don't develop the teacher. In Bahrain, we have made some foundation to train the teacher. Training the teacher is considered a smart training, and we must look at the teacher as a human being. We suppose that the female teacher teaches from 7 early morning, and she has let their children at school, then she must be nice with the family of her husband, and must have some other commitments. We cannot take her out of the reality, which has different dimensions, and get her to teach at school. So the smartness of the country must go with the requirements of the teacher, which we focus on helping the teachers to convey the information to our children and to our community. Through the teacher, we build and shape the identity. And we build all these things of the children go through the teacher, in addition to the family and with the education. So there are 3 main pillars we must focus on. So the curriculum must be practiced. There are books which the students learn, and the teacher teach them. So as the doctor has said, Abu Muhammad has said, it's very important that we focus on the protocol. So the schools must aim the identity through the daily protocol, which I see in the UAE. They focus on the UAE channel, and we are in Bahrain, we focus on at schools. So that children, we teach that the children protocol, they must stand up for their parents, because general respect is focused on this. When they greet people, they must have values and the protocol. They must know their religion. They must be tolerant. Even there are protocols to drink coffee, respect, and looking after parents. We have been teaching all these things through practicing, daily practicing in a special program. We call it advisory. We take them for 30 minutes to teach them all these protocols. We don't teach also only the student, but we teach and train the receptionist. She must, or they must stand up when there are guests. There are parents who visit the schools, and when the children see the receptionist do this, they learn. I speak because I am a daily educator. I am not talking from my personal perspective. We help the children to stand to their parents. But when our parents enter, we ask them to stand up. When in the past we used it to encourage the students. We can see now irrelevant behaviors that students don't stand up. They learn from the other countries. But now we have started to teach the children's protocol. They must respect the seniors. So the teacher instills all these things. The teacher stands when he receives another teacher in the classroom. The teaching by example. These are focused at school, and we must instill all these things in the children's minds. We talk about the education through practicing a lot, some things at school. This will help the children to belong to their identities. So when we talk about identity by different pronunciation, we talk, Dr. Sumaya, can you talk to us about definition of identity? Are there some challenges for digital identity? Thank you so much. At the beginning, I would like to extend my thanks to Trends Research and Advisory to join this conference, which focuses and discusses very important topics. Before I interact with Dr. I start answering your question regarding the identity, and considering, because I am a researcher in the sociology. So in sociology we deal with this concept carefully. from the knowledge perspective. Are there stable modules? There is a cultural identity. We talk about the culture that interacts. So it affects and it affects in other things. So there must, if we talk about a stable identity, it is far from the psychological science, but there is a differentiation between the facts and identity and what is it changing. So there is a difference between and the most important things which is are very stable is culture and the religion, but language and the religion is very important, which guarantee the continuity of the culture of the community. When we talk about culture, for psychologists and in general, it asks for the unity of the community. So it unites us. So these are the main functions of the culture, and which is found in anthropology. But there are levels of identity in an individual. We have the individual identity and the experiences which and the backgrounds which an individual has, and we have the social identity. The individual belongs to different categories of the community, and in the neighborhood of the individual, this is the social identity. The cultural identity focuses on the traditions and the customs and symbols which unite a cultural group, and this is the national identity, which is complicated. But when we focus on talk about the national identity, we focus on the individual, on the person who has got rights, and he performs a group of rights, and the country guarantees a group of different freedom. But at the same time, he must be committed to responsibility, which makes him a free country in his country. So this is the national identity. When we talk about this level, there is another identity which is new, is called now digital identity, which is representative in the personalities or the personalities which an individual creates when he interacts with the social media, the profiles and the digital footprint, and all these things represent digital identity. What distinguishes this digital identity is the change, is a novelty, is the ability to adapt the situational identity. All the people who have effects, social effects. So the individual life is focused on what will spread on the following day on social media, and the individual must be innovative and creative. What is the most important of digital identity is the innovation and the creativity every day, which is different from the cultural identity which Dr. Ahmed has mentioned. So the cultural identity is built along the longer term. It needs a longer time to preserve this. If we talk about religion, and this comes under the context of continuity and the fast and the slow time. So through these records, the conflict or the disbalance of the national identity, which combines all these things, psychological, individual, and cultural items, and the digital identity, which requires it to be stable, and digital identity, which is changeable. Can we ask here, can the education recall the balance between the cultural identity and the digital identity? The answer, yes. If we if we consider, instead of rejecting the diversity of the cultures, we reject the different identities, or what the time makes us being able to be flexible, as happened during COVID-19. So if we recognize diversity in our educational system, the diversity in culture, so will not have any risks. So if we will not be able to continue if we live in diversity of nationalities, because all the psychological sciences, getting acquainted with others is a way to know ourselves. Sometimes when we leave the comfort zone, is a space which reunites all people. When we meet others who are different, we discover some traits in our personality which we didn't know in the past. So so there are some fixed things in the national identity which is different from the national identity. So we must confess or recognize the diversity, and we must be responsive to the diversity of culture. If we, our guests have talked about foretelling the future. Every day in the technological age and the new technologies we face every day, we must put longer-term plan or strategies, as they are called, are their national roles in the scientific research in the education system regarding the identity. Can we foretell the future? Can you talk, Dr. Noura, about the most important strategies?
I am delighted to be and honored to be a guest at such a landmark event for the future of education. And also many thanks are offered to the audience, to exchange ideas, experiences, and best practices about an important issue, which is the national identity. I would like just to comment on something. Just like after Dr. Ali, we usually look at context, that we are distinguished context, and one of our top priorities of the country and the most important priorities is the topic of education. Education is always top prioritized to be applied in the country. However, are there link between politics and scientific research? We usually address this issue about the political, the national policies, and to be related to the education topic. What are the research needs that education needs? Are there either a higher council for scientific to determine the special cases, issues for education? Is there any comprehensive or a holistic national strategy which can impact our education? We are at the Sharjah University. We usually, for the PhD and the master degrees, usually link the programs with empirical and the applied research. So such policies that are launched, like the education policies in the country, they should have a strategy to apply the national priorities which we can have to achieve in partnership. Like, what are the priorities and the needs of the community? And the biggest example is just like is a research priority, which is the national identity, what we are discussing today in our conference. But my comment on Her Excellency Sheikh Hamay, we have to enhance the national identity through curricula, by the national education centers and schools, and also my comment on His Excellency Ali. You have talked about language in Japan. I have obtained my PhD degree from Spain in Spanish. So the strategy, the most important point, the most important is our mother tongue, not only in schools, but teaching language. Why don't we enhance and sustain our Arabic language? Not only in schools, they are not on schools. Not only they don't concern that in schools. In postgraduate center, they force me to learn the Spanish language so that I can earn the PhD degree. So why don't we have to enhance or sustain the Arabic language, not only in schools, but in the higher or the postgraduate studies? And I also notice how cherished or how they cherish their language. The culture, the Emirati culture, when I witnessed the Emirati culture in Spain, the Spanish language, it should become first, followed by the Arabic language. When I went to the embassy of Korea in Madrid, the first language is Spanish, followed by any other languages. So even it can create opportunities for people who specialize in the Arabic language to create competition that there are the Spanish people do not have any problems when. So for the importance of the enhancing the language, not only in schools, but also in the governmental authorities. And also, I'm quite sure and confident that one of the most important recommendations of this international conference will be that there will be a national strategy for the development of education linked with the scientific research, and the scientific research should meet the needs of the community. They cannot work isolated with each other. So there should be also support for the Arabic language in the educational institutes, and there should be also strategic aspirations which we have to aspire. Thank you so much. It's quite important what you have just discussed, that we have to keep up with the strategies and to develop plans. Without any scientific research, I think it's further. With the Bahrain Institute for Political Development, I have to confirm that we have to develop the right plans. So as I'm the moderator of the session, I have a question according to my mind. Bring up your children in an age different from yours. What about genuinity, originality? Can I teach my children for the future, or shall I bring them back to our ancestors and to link them with the history? So when I tell them, when I was like of your age, I didn't do that, blah, blah, blah. So I will start with what you have just finished. The first impression, to emphasize that the topic of being impressed with the Western culture, it has to stop to this generation. A month ago, I gave you an example. I'm still trying to give you some examples. A month ago, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, the President of the United Arab Emirates, visited Bahrain. So when he met a family of one of the martyrs, he remembered, or he recalled the story of the Sheikh Zayed I and his relations with Bahrain for 100 years ago. We have history of relations, we have history of heritage and legacy that we have to be proud of. 24 years ago, I was in Sydney in Australia. They were organizing the Olympic Games. The number of volunteers was 50,000 Australian people volunteering, all of whom were working. After a 2-year training, they were working as volunteers. I met one of the volunteers at the parking lot. So he didn't notice any players, any games. So I told him, what are the benefits you are making of it? So when you go, he told me that if you go back to your country, you will tell us about the success of the Olympics. So we are a group of nations in Australia. We have a limited history, but we have history. to answer the question of the doctor for the conflict between the two generations or the all generations, we have reached an advanced stage. I don't think it's a phenomenon, but it's present, it's existing. And it happened in front of me, two young men, like 16 or 17 years old. They were speaking Arabic and they were discussing about interpreting one of the Holy Quran verses. I witnessed this situation itself. They have reached a stage that they could not express themselves interpreting the holy verse, and he had to interpret in the English language. It was strange. So if we have like 500 million people speaking, there are about 1.5 billion speaking Arabic to be able to read the Quran. We are the language. We have the language, the Arabic language, the language of the Quran. I don't know about the classification or the United Nations, and maybe we are the second or the third language categorized, but there is a complaint. We have to admit that. Why I am trying to emphasizing these ones a bit, but like in the media. I called one of the officials or responsible in charge of the Gulf channels, because because as I said in the very beginning, we have all a holistic, standardized Gulf culture. I called him so he said, okay, is there anything wrong with me? I told him about the logo. I don't know where this channel is broadcast from. They were talking about a program that has nothing to do with our culture, identity. It was mixed with a lot of English foreign words. The audience, the whole program is just like distracted or from the society. So I was bringing about the role of media in sustaining the national identity. Now the officials in charge of the education process, as the doctor said, that 75% of the time of the student spends at school. It's a great responsibility. We do not, as an existing generation, in order to differentiate between like 10 or 10 years. So now I think that every 5 years we might have a new generation. So dealing with the technological revolution nowadays is hard to understand this generation, or to impose, or to force them to do something. But what's more important is that you have to enhance this one at school, in the house. We did not learn that, but we acquired such practice through our ancestors, our grandparents, and the teacher, and respecting the teacher. But now they are watching the YouTube or the social media. Is quite dangerous nowadays, and you can have the significant change of our generation, even when they discuss each other with the people, with the elder people or the more educated people. And it's something natural, because the cultural dialogue should be enhanced, but within a framework of the environment in which we used to live, and we wish to keep going. It's not a fanaticism for it's just like it's a matter of how to sustain the religion, the heritage, the culture, the identity. You don't have to separate from the other civilization. You cannot introduce yourself to the other civilizations in some with your identity. This is my viewpoint. So sustaining the identity is the first step to launch toward the globalization, and I'm quite sure that our Arab and Gulf countries in particular have positive examples or roles as that. And I think Dr. May with us, she is the chairman, the principal of the board of directors in one of the most important, prominent schools in Bahrain. So one of the most important practices when you enhance the national identity. To comment on the doctor's speech, we need a lot to work to sustain and enhance the identity and citizenship. The most important thing for us because I'm talking to you about how to, for myself, how we have a strategy, we have a mission, we have a vision. However, I'm just talking about the daily interaction, because it is my concern in the application itself. For example, it's quite important for us, apart from the family, and that the school should understand that how to deal with the student itself. What are the circumstances or conditions based on which we can deal with it, especially with the social media going right now. But when I understand the student, I can draw a plan or policies on it. Like I remember when the student calls this like his teacher to be angry, so the school sent him to on suspension at home for 4 or 5 days as a punishment. However, our schools in the Gulf or in Europe do the same. But 5 years ago, we had found out that it's a big mistake, because if you punish him, sending him at home, he will enjoy. So he or she will watch YouTube. So it's not a punishment. So the punishment now is for the students at school now. But if you punish somebody and you send him or her home, you enjoy. During the coronavirus pandemic outspread, I'm trying to pass through different during the coronavirus pandemic. The first year they gave us, the country gave us, the Prime Minister gave us online education. So our school started on the Sunday with IT. They give us the instruction to start working on online Wednesday. So we were quite ready with our IT equipment. So starting from Sunday. So after that, we asked them to go back to school. So the parents were quite surprisingly to ask for their children to keep studying at home because it's remote. So we try to tell them that we cannot contradict with the Prime Minister directives. So we have to tell them that it should be optional, whoever wants to study at home or at school. So we told them very simply, let your children study online, and we're gonna show them the curriculum online. The teacher will teach and explain. But we are not teaching your sins. There is no interaction. I cannot deal with your children like with the student wearing a mask and studying physically at school, and their parents trust the school. On the other hand, you are just like comparing this to a student sitting at home, lying on the bed, making it. So the physical or interaction or face-to-face interaction is quite important. So the parents realize that their children staying at home are not studying well, or they are not learning anything. So what we give them, if they physically attend at school, we give them all the information. So the parents had to send their children. So the full capacity of school was quite 100%. And in that year, there was no online education. So, but however, we conducted all the precautionary health procedures. So the school can present something, and the family can also do something, so that the both can do the same on the right track. One of the practices, as Mrs. Iman said, that it's one of the most important things that I would like to showcase some of the cases. We had a very troublemaking student. So just once the school day finishes, he disappears. He disappears, and he was fond of eating, and he used to go with his colleague to eat burger. And when he goes home, he says, "I'm on diet, mom. No, I don't need any food." So we noted that he disappears after the completion of the school year. So Yusuf, we kept asking him, what's wrong with you, Yusuf? Please, Yusuf. I asked him to come to my office. So we tried to brainstorm about where the whole issue is. So each school should focus on the position of the student at home, to discuss about the policy, the strategies, about the circumstances, about the individual acts. There is something. So Yusuf had 5 siblings, and 5 sisters, and he the only brother. He was quite short and fat. So I told my staff, as just like he acts like a leader at home, but when he goes to school, he's short among his tall colleagues. So he tries to practice some wrong behaviors in order to so that he can pretend being a troublemaker, to be like, just like, to show off and to tell everybody that I have the dominance on my family. So we did not discuss anything with him. We asked him. We asked him to act like a father. So he had the Gulf or the Bahraini identity. So we brought him the workers working with the wood, al-banush, the boat, the wooden boat, building the boat, and we said they told guys. We asked them that Yusuf will be their leader. Now Yusuf graduated and he joined the university in the 3rd year, and I think he is graduating. A week ago he came and he kissed my head, and he said, I don't know how to thank you enough. Even his parents, they told me that he changed 100 degrees for something simple. That's what I mean. Like, we have to understand the circumstances, the living circumstances of the families, which can help to support part of the national identity. Because I cannot say I'm building a strategy. It's part of this issue. But the most important of which is how to implement the strategy inside the school. And during my implementation was right. We have to understand that the people in front of me, we have to understand the surrounding circumstances based on which I build my strategy on him or her as an individual, on the society. They did the same for the social media. Social media, that the doctor has addressed and talked about a few minutes ago. Dr. Muhammad Al-Kuwaiti might cause some type of isolation, or to be introvert. So such type of isolation, the first thing that the school should do, that they have to do something like involve them, to engage them with the group activity with the school colleagues or teachers, to organize some activities, or like joint or shared activities. The most important of which that the institutions of the country, it's part of the practice. Like, I can tell him, I can bring them to the things. So I have extracted him from the isolated environment and just built and showed him what the country is doing. So we take them for trips to show them our museums, to explain our history or background. And in the meantime, it's part of participation or involvement. And also they introduce each other, they know each other, so they get out of the comfort zone of this thing.
I please teachers and who are interested in education, what we call them, a counselor or the social worker, must be an Arab or from the Gulf countries. We have been tired of foreigners. The counselor do not understand our children, our situation, and he says that they are suicidal because they are the way they are. As the doctor has mentioned, Dr. Ali has mentioned, in their environment, they are different from our environment. So they come and they believe that all the children are suicidal. The children are nice. We have a female foreigner. She says, "I am this. This girl is abused." I was. We have in the world, in the Gulf region, we understand it in our mindset. Call that girl, abuse the suicidal girl. Call that girl to know what her story is about. The girl mother is my friend, and grandmother is my friend, and they know me. And how come this girl has become suicidal? What do you mean, American counselor? So abused, so we can throw shoes on her. Believe me, this is a simple issue, but how can the schools deal with our children? So they call us and they say that our children are suicidal because the social worker is mistaken. The children is not mistaken, but the social work. But we have to be careful about the selection of social workers. I can't tell the social worker that throwing shoes is normal, but we laugh with this. And if I say this is normal behavior, and that girl was abused, like, so I said to myself, don't teach us what is meant by abused. We are like Italians. How do Italians? Do you know what Italians do? So I must give her an example. We are Arabs. This is normal to throw shoes, but we are like Italians. We defend our children, and she is laughing with her. Really, she said, really. Hans responded, really. This is okay. What is important? I terminated a contract, and all the social workers we have at the schools are Arab, from Arab countries or from Bahrain, and they have been with us, and they have been working seriously on the counseling, Bahrainian counseling, because they communicate with the girls, and this relationship is based on identity, respecting the house, respecting the family, is respecting the school. So we must know what the main issue is. We don't say that the school is wrong or the child is wrong, but this is a united community. By dealing correctly, we can develop these children. These are wonderful examples. In fact, knowing our identity, the existence of the educator or the teacher, this will be an exemplary role. So we must look for teachers who are committed to identity. My last question for all of you, for all panelists who are about to run out of time. Dr. Sumaya, we talk about the international identity and about the international strategies and the local strategies. We must say that the child must have the concept of international identity and knowing how to coexist and live with others. Have we maximized the foreign education, and we have advantage of the international education through the national education? Your question is related to an issue which has been mentioned before, which is concerned language. We don't, it is not preserving the language only as a cultural pillar, but the language must be a language of science, or producing science, or translating knowledges which are produced by others. But we look for the language which open horizons. So, for example, the harmony of language or other language, they open horizons to open jobs of diplomatic jobs. And also it is considered the chance of getting diplomatic jobs. So the Arabic language must be available in all sectors and social departments. We must think of the Arabic language that must open horizons for the learner, but also it enhances the competency capabilities which the current age require, and the capability of being adaptable, and the child must have more than one language to be able to compete with others. Her Highness Sheikh Laina has mentioned the family domain is very important. So the family domain has become very limited because all the children spend most of their time at school. And commenting on what Your Highness has mentioned, we must invest this time that we must focus on the quality, not on the quantity. To spend 2 hours with family and is not a big thing, but we must invest the time in having a dialogue conversation with each other. We must interact. So we must interact with each other. Also, what I have admired on focusing on the strategies, accredited the strategies on the living. These cultural identity and national identity are not what we have to focus on occasions only. Instead of the, or despite its importance in daily interaction. And as the doctor has mentioned, this training and education and instilling the features of national identity must not be by prompting, but in a frame of projects which Yusuf has done. I would like to finish or conclude by a comment. The case of Yusuf didn't find what want to eat at school, so he looked for what he wanted to eat outside. So privacy is very important at the family level. So they go to the virtual space or the blue virtual. The space has a range of things which are compulsory or things we don't like. We are committed to do something. We allow in our families that sometime is which is called the leisure time. We can allow the children or family members that there must be non-productive time. We don't blame the children if he spends 30 minutes to meditate or doing nothing. So children must need this time to meditation. So the time will lead him to the virtual space, and this might lead him to think or to have relative information. We don't need our identity to be occasional. During Ramadan, we can see that young girls wearing veils or crowns. We need our identity to be available with us everywhere. I would like to, Dr. Noura, and the scientific research, is there a need of the existence to research spots which the national identity require? Do our children need our Arabic language or dialect? This must be or might be a scientific research. And some other things which need to be studied. Do we need a monitor? There are economical challenges which are exposed to the outside world, so that children interact with the outside world, external world, and this requires us from the institutional or educational institutions, but how these efforts must be joint first. The first effort, so we must focus on the scientific research. Is there an issue So I look for the needs of community, which are based on scientific research. What we have here, the scientific research strategy of the education. For example, if I put the scientific research is a need of the requirements of the community. So I follow three paths: the priorities of the scientific research, and identifying the priorities of the scientific research about the future of education, about the graduation needs. Are there other paths which are related to the family? So we must identify the priorities of the scientific research. So we must develop these programs through research partnerships by knowing other scientific researchers, and as His Highness, Her Highness Sheikh Hanai, selecting the social worker. So I must select the curriculum in the private schools and the public schools. In the private schools, we teach people who teach at the private schools must be a national, because he can convey this information to all the children at all levels. So we, in this way, we focus on the importance of Arabic language. I have time to the last speech in a minute.
Just to emphasize on the comments on this session about the importance of linking the importance of the social workers on our, one of the mistakes that our Arab and Gulf country, that they have gone to the Western research centers in 2008. Nobody could expect in 2008 all of the research centers in the United States did not expect the financial collapse or decline that occurred in 2008. So we are in a need of research study. That's what the Trend Center is doing right now, to study our reality. The danger, yes. What Trend Center is doing right now as an advisory research center, it's quite important topic to increase the rate of the private school. Now we have in the Bahrain we have 240,000 schools. 100 out of whom 150,000 are in public schools, while 90 and the 90 at the public schools. That means it's 1 by 3. So we have some schools that marginalize the education, the Arabic language. So we have the Ministry of Education to strictly deal with such type of schools. First of all, I would like to thank Trends Research and Advisory Center for organizing this event. I have to repeat the same one with that some time ago. We have met. It was on Saturday. It was their weekend, and they came to Dubai, despite the fact that they live in Abu Dhabi. So what we were impressed about that how quick the decision-making process was. So in 2 days' time, they told us that they are quite interested in working with us. So like in some cases, the decision-making process might take months. I'm really quite grateful for such a quick decision-making and working with us. I would like just start to comment on 2 points that the first of which is the Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti, when he talked about the cyber terrorism. He said, God bless him, that children are exposed to vulnerable to cyber terrorism, and they are all vulnerable to this. And it's something that I'm talking about implementation, that we have studied that our children, why are our children what we call like different ideologies, political ideologies or secularism, which might impact their mentality about the intellectual terrorism. So we went to the financial literacy.
Now, doctor, for your children and yours, we develop a comprehensive, integrated programs to set the mind for the mindset, to change totally the mindset of the students, that you all have an identity, but you have to think about an economy. What is which is the economic identity? So we have started teaching them some. For just bringing up their children, raising their children, why do they go for terrorism? Like surrender to the cyber terrorism or any type of any other ideology. So we are focused on building economy and the mindset inside the school, that they have to understand that they have to economically build himself till he or she reaches the secondary stage, so that he can be integrated or wholly integrated and independent when he goes to the university. The second thing about the scientific research and the language, I would like just to focus on a point that I would like to focus or point. For the Arabic, we don't have quite good Arabic scientific research. We don't have a material, so we have to read some references in English or to refer to some foreign or non-Arabic reference. So because they have such a solid one, so there must be some type of assessment. So like for trends and for the other institution, we have to strengthen our articles, and we have also to develop not any author, but we have to teach them the right track about. However, if we give them something irrelevant, so we keep far away from the Arabic language. So sometimes I have to translate from English into Arabic or extract from English. So it helped us in the PhD because we don't have materials in Arabic. So in communications, I did not have any Arabic reference, so I had to go to refer to the English reference. This is something which we actually read to focus on, because the language are beautiful, and we have also to pay attention. But how to present the beauty of our Arabic is good. Dr. Sumayya. I thank Trend Center. It's the first opportunity to open this discussion, but we have also to harness all the efforts for such an important one, to continue working on such significant issues. Dr. Noura, to comment on Sheikh May for the Arabic language, especially in specializations. There should be like a research observatory. This research observatory to combine all the foreign journals, to combine all academicians in Arabic. They can also publish in such journals, so it can be one of the recommendations to just like to publish Arabic journals which can compete with the English ones. So we will be waiting for these Arabic journals, so that all our attendees can make benefit of such Arabic references. Forgive me for because I try to stick to the time frame. I think that for the moderation of the discussion, there will be the session or the panel discussion. People will be honored by His Excellency Professor Muhammad. Thank you, Your Excellencies and Your Highnesses and Your Excellencies, for the presentation and for the recommendations for the enhancement of the Arabic language. Now we invite His Excellency Professor Muhammad Abdullah Al-Alai to honor the speakers of the first panel discussion.
بعد كده.
Also invite Dr. Hilal bin Muhammad Al-Azizi to the stage to be honored for his achievement for the people of determination mission, for the Abu Dhabi National Book Fair. I would like to give you an overview. Dr. Muhammad is considered not only he's a researcher and academician who God gifted him with great ability or capability to write for. We are honored to receive him in the Abu Dhabi National Book Fair in April, the coming April. The title of his book, authored by him, The Emirati Media, The Mirror of the People of Determination. So this book will be released at the Abu Dhabi Book Fair in April. So we are honored to host him today. And we are honored. And I was determined to receive and to host him today. And also to invite you for the release of his book that will be participating in Abu Dhabi Book Fair in April. We are honored to have you among us today. We hope that his book would be a valuable reference to address about their aspirations and the ambitions of the people. He's talking. the media will my book is targeting people of determination. This book is just addressed to highlight about the aspirations and the ambitions and also the initiatives made by our country to support people of determination and to open a window for them. Now we move to a 20-minute break, after which we're going to resume discussions of the conference. We'll see you after 20 minutes.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear attendees, we would like to welcome you again in the conference of education and identity in the digital age. And we leave you with an innovative video presentation with AI technician. My name is Jutara. I am supported by artificial intelligence. I will be presenting the topic of the second session. In our second session, participants and the speakers will discuss education and identity in the era of artificial intelligence and the digital revolution. The speakers will also address the impacts of the digital and artificial intelligence on national identity. The session will also address years of the benefit of artificial intelligence in supporting national identity and the opportunities and okay. Now, I would like to invite the speaker to the podium, which will be moderated by Professor Awad Al-Breki. On you all, ladies and gentlemen, Speaker Awad Al-Breki, the head of the Global Trend. I would like to welcome all the speakers here, some of the experts of the second session of the conference of education with the cooperation of the Political Institute of Bahrain Institute. We would like to talk about the impacts of AI on education and identity, and also the opportunities and the challenges from the AI and the digital transformation. We'd like to welcome the experts, Dr. Yusuf Hamad Ismail, expert in the identity, and Dr. Ibtisam Al-Mazroua, an expert in the AI and the advanced technology, and the founder of AI V3. Mr. Sultan Ali, the director of Barometer Department in the Trends Research and Advisory. We would like to talk about ideas in general. And then at the beginning, before we started, Dr. Yusuf, Sheikh talked about about burger and about the case of that boy who used to eat burger. Would you like to give us a general glimpse of the challenges of the AI and education, and we are as institutions and the country, what are we concerned about? I would like to thank and the center of this invitation, and I'm honored to be among you, the people of UAE. I left a room and entered another room. We will like to your question. Let's go to the historic glimpse. The first session, Dr. Ali Rumehi talked about the heritage and the identity from the past history. Every day we look at education, we can see the challenges in the communities and how far the communities have changed. So education started by the religious people. Even the environment which the education was found, people used to sit and was connected to environment. And even punishment, there was a stick which used for punishing the students. So education was connected to the environment. Then we moved to, I'm going to talk about the experience of Bahrain in 2011. There was a big thing. We started systematic education, and we had the classes, the chairs, curriculum, and we used to have curriculum from abroad. The curriculum was written by Egyptians, by people from Jordanians, and also there was a group of teachers. Then we moved to, later on, the government was interested in involving industry at the end of 30s, and the development which took place. We had education, we had teachers, we needed some workers. Then we moved and focused on industry and workers in 1939. And the people went to Beirut expedition, and they came back to Bahrain with their ideas, and we had different stages. And there were many different measures like agriculture, for example. Now we are going to talk about the fourth revolution or the fourth industrial revolution, and we talk about the digital transformation. We can never develop digitally, and we talk about curriculum which were or emerged in the past. So we must cope up with the development. There have been many experiences and practices in the region, and we involving the AI and robots. But these have been experiences, but there have been serious experiences to cope up with the industrial revolution, even the shape of the buildings. But there are still some curriculum. And let me, Your Highness, speak about the digital media. People speak now, as you mentioned in your speech, we must enhance what to invest, how to invest, how to deal with the money, and the focus on the investment mindset. So even the media curriculum, with the development in the digital revolution, there must be good bringing in the social means in a big level. We talk about conferences which talk about the identity of the youth, but the youth do not exist with us. Is the youth convicted or convinced of what we talk each generation and they blame the previous generation or the successive generation? So let's speak honestly. We talk about grandfathers and talk about the fashion and the way they were dressed. There was little development. But the social changement or the social change in the social community which took place in 50s and 60s, the languages changed, the words changed. So there was a huge change. If we talk about the national identity, we would like to talk about, that doctor has said, we're going to talk about the holistic identity. I'm not going to talk about the identity of food and the dressing. We face huge challenges, internal and external challenges. The internal challenges, the side belongings. This affects the national identity. We are a country. We have coexistence. There are 200 nationalities who live in our country. There are 2 languages, 2 different cultures. So this might affect our identity. When we talk about the religious speech, which is not normal, this has changed our ideologies and also the duties and the rights. We talk about this the term our rights, our rights, our rights. So the sound of rights has raised above the duties. So we focus on the volunteering work in the past. Volunteering work was different of the volunteering work which takes place now. There are external changes that we face. From my perspective, there is no respect of our Arabic language or dominating English over the Arabic language. We have started to lose that language, and also the organizations and the terrorist thoughts, and there are many other titles to the electronic organization, human organizations, thoughtful organizations. They have started to affect on our thoughts, on our ideas, on our culture, and there have been many challenges on our community, and the relation between the father and the children has faced many challenges. And we talk about the modern bringing up. These things affect the identity hugely. I'm not going to talk about the dressing, about food. I'm going to talk about the cultural identity of our Arab communities. This cultural identity has become harmed and damaged. Even our Gulf countries' identity, each community has different tone. In the past, we have consensus on the thoughts, but now the identities have been separated and dispersed. Today, when we talk about the education identity, they must go parallel to each other, side by side. One thought: what do we need education from the identity, and what do we need from identity to education? We teach and we educate. We have to consider all these things. The identity is known to everyone, and the belonging is known to each one, and are done by the house, the book, and the mosque. There were 5 things that involve or affect education. When we, for example, we don't have time to sit with our fathers, with our grandfathers and mothers, so sometimes we sit beside each other, but we don't interact. We interact through social media. The book has no longer become as it used to be. 22 million people who read in the Arab world, and the statistics might be lower than this. So there are few people who read very little if they are compared by the number of hours foreigners read. So there were some sessions in the mosque. We pray and leave now. In the past, we used to look for the people who were not present in the mosque. The life has changed. There are a lot of things which have passed very quickly. Even the media today, when we talk about the role of identity, the media has a role. The number of the satellite channels, even at the moment I sit with you, there are big numbers of Arab channels. Most of them are song channels. So after we have 1,100 channels. We don't watch TV as we used to watch. The last statistics we had the remote. We have 4 seconds. If we are not attracted by this channel, we move to another channel. So the means of media were considered the sources that we learn from them. These disappeared. But now we get the values, we get the information from external channels. What does the education from the digital medium, and what does the digital media need from education? Are we advanced in the digital information? So the digital education must go side by side by the media, the digital media. So today, even the question which is praised by Dr. Ali Merahi, do we exaggerate in fear in this topic? In my perspective, and some will disagree with me, we exaggerate when we talk about that. So the changes in the community are very few. If we establish a community and we preserve our thoughts, our culture, our belonging, we will be very successful in life. So we have an invasion on us. Today we have a chance. There are some challenges. We have AI, we have the digital media, we have learned a lot. It has helped us to know and to get knowledge. Let us focus on the advantage of the AI, and we have the professor here with us, and she has more information than me. Personally, I feel that so far we are okay, and we don't have that level of fear. And you talk about that fear. The message that that we have more than one challenge, and not the education system, but in the power, energy also. So some people welcome these change, but the nature of people, they worry or they fear from change. We lived in the traditional generation, and we lived in the digital generation. The digital generation is not aware about us. So, for example, the past phone, there is a gap between the digital and the normal traditional world. So we look forward to learning from the AI. Dr. Abtesam, the AI founder, G3. So this company promotes the AI.
The link of AI and the link between the AI and the national identity. Good afternoon, and thank you for your hosting us, and the important topic that we have to deal with constantly and continuously. I thank Trends Research and Advisory Center for their pioneering role in establishing the roots for the international community roots. The AI topic is such a great topic which derived from the digital age. We are the culture of the United Arab Emirates. We aspire to be one of the pioneering countries in developing our the digital economy, not only in the digital industries economy, but it's quite important to understand the pros and cons of and the impacts of the digital industry. The digital industry, it does not start with the normal education, because you mentioned that AI is based on positive aspects. It's just my concept about it, and hence we are AI is seen by the world that it's an existing is a science based on logarithms, physics, chemistry, and sciences. I look at education
that it's not necessarily to change the process of sciences. The chemistry, physics, the mathematics, or geology. It's also to empower the AI in the different or various sectors. I need an expert in chemistry and bioenergy and technology. That's why all such basic or fundamental sciences should be sustainable in the basic in the educational process. But when I talk about the secondary education, like skills and experiences related to AI in various sectors, we have to focus on it like the pioneering or the key industries in the field of digital revolution. That's why it's quite important that we have to preserve the fundamental and the infrastructure of digital education to be studied from the elementary school to the primary elementary school and to the second one and XOY to educate all different generations. And embedded double company founder 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago at the government summit said that we don't want you to know about technology. This is honestly, this is quite important if you want to be an important country. But if you'd like to be a productive and a manufacturing country, we have to study the basics or principles of mathematics and computer science. We have to, and the qualitative science in this field. And in the country, just like shaping, like forming scientists and experts of the AI at various sectors require like a high quality experience. That's why today we have to focus on how to that we have to do the fundamental education, how to add to your scientific information where it just and how to use the science and AI in robotic sciences in health. And the idea as an institution or as an organization, do we really need, for example, the nanotechnology in the field of industry existing right now in the country? These are sciences, sciences that should be focused on. The second topic, as for the digital identity or the national identity, I have the national identity is related to the digital one. What I mean by that, the article, the national identity today, you might say the heritage, the way of dialogue, the culture, our identity and the culture. But today, the world is going to the AI models, which are there is just like a boom of AI, like the models of the big ChatGPT, Falcon, Noor, Jace, Barman, from the Google company. All such ones are digital, great, big identity ones, because they are the main and the key structure to address the communication between humans and the machines or the robots. So when I try to deal with the computer, I have to communicate, but who is the programmer behind the software of this computer? So sometimes I might program your identity as a typical material for the original one, and for the linguistic models we might have some misconceptions. So I have to address the history with the big linguistic wealth. So because we have in a lot of sectors, some the history might be disfigured through these big linguistic, without even exposing the risks or without even affecting our national identity. It's quite important to build the national capabilities and to teach them how to refine these models, these big linguistic models, in order to be suitable for our culture. There are also their criteria, concepts, and accelerators to be used in such sectors. I can also give you an example of the future. Like today, we have built Noor or Falcon. Noor project is a big project for Arabic language. launched in 2022, how to communicate or dialogue with the machine by using the Arabic language, which is the biggest linguistic for 10 billion changing factor, variable change, and also Falcon project. It's an additional one. It's ChatGPT 0.35 from Google company. So every day, as a programmer or as a developer, I go to the internet platform or portal to comprise all data. But if the programmer is non-Arabic, so he or she will not make sure whether this information or not, or whether the details are accurate, whether the dates feeding for these models are accurate. So, so through I can achieve this culture by training and evaluating these models, and as a recipient can add or can learn or can make benefit of this one. Like, for example, if I would like to know about the history of the United Arab Emirates, I can know about, because the programmer did not get involved in these details. And the second thing, that all of such information are not put or well organized on the internet portals or platforms. So we are seeking to organize and to formalize these ones, and also to build the national capabilities, to build the AI models, and to empower them in the different and also to be reflected on the educational process also in this field. Thank you, Dr. Ibtissam. And you mentioned for the AI, all fields, education, shaping the identity, economy, all national capabilities, experiences are quite important. It's quite important also to be ahead of that. Let me move to Mr. Sultan Al-Amri to talk about opportunities and the challenges of education in shaping the national identity.
Peace and blessing be upon you. We welcome you. Thank you so much for trends, research, and advisory. It's very difficult for me to add to what these other speakers have mentioned, but so we would like to. I cannot hide from you that the modern age and the educational curriculum has become a must, that we must change them. Regarding this, in this session, I would like to share with you a study. The study focused on for seeing the future in education and focusing on the market of workforce. And for telling the future, we must focus on 5 things: the modern technologies and the political, economical, and social, and AI factors. Depending on this, for telling a study, the education will be in the future will be different. The value of the higher certificates will change. It is familiar that people or individual study for 5 years, but in this session I must analyze the data. Like for example, Microsoft and Google, they have a course for 6 months. People are interested in joining these courses, and instead of spending 4 years to get that certificate, they stay for 6 months with a training program organized by Google or Microsoft, and they guarantee that they have jobs regarding to this course. In another way, the study has attracted students in America and Canada, and this course has become very common in those countries, and this is due to the expenses of this course. So there is a great attraction on this such types of 6 months course, and then I have been attracted by lifelong learning. But today the bachelor degree is not so important. Even after PhD, we must learn more and more. I can quote from a lecture I have heard. it is not enough for people who have PhD to get information, but it's very important to get more and more information. And there are many technologies which control genetics. So it's very important now that an individual must know about a lot of things, not one thing. And we would like to melt with the big and the research centers. We must communicate or integrate. And some universities will focus on metaverse. And I'm going to focus on these points. The university will not be to as a source to get in knowledge and belief, but there will be a forum for people to exchange information. Dr. David, the Vice President of the Strategy in Cambridge University, he says it's very important to change, to focus on what is the best for a student, not what is best for the university. The student will be a criteria about how successful the university is. So, therefore, the challenges which the education will face, the education sector will face, the globalization and the loss of identity. We cannot hide to you. Over the last 10 or 15 years, there were a lot of immigration from Arab countries to European countries. European countries have found that the most problem we must integrate the people who immigrate with our people or community. This is the biggest challenge we have in education, but each challenge has its own features. The other thing here, the bias culture, as Dr. Bassam has said, she has talked about the historical knowledge or information. Some people who of fatwa can get information and make it confusing. There are digital gaps, and there is a big difference to reach the digital technology from the economy and the geographical point. There is digital dispersion, and what is surprising in this, which has been developed in the developing countries, so reading the information to the villages, the love for getting information, the knowledge has been increased in the villages. And according to international organization, about 463 children lack the access to learning. So the digital gap must be bridged, and the access must be available at the digital tools, and it shouldn't be available for specific people or individuals. So we must bridge this gap. So the GDP, the international GDP, will increase to $140 billion. So there are big opportunities, and the technology is open. The technology's door has been open, and it is the technologies is open for increasing knowledge and a way of enhancing the national identity. For example, one of the best countries in this field, Egypt, is considered of preserving its history, which has been 5,000 years. In the UAE, we focus on the moral education, which includes the UAE values. Lastly, Australia, digital information technology in Australia, the tools and the equipment must be available for all the students in Australia. But in a period, this project stopped, and they say that the student will lose the information as long as they use the iPad. So the information and the exams will rely on a paper and a pen. So when we talk about this topic, there are many studies and in magazines in the Western world, they have their own perspectives. But what is nice about that, we don't stop and let the challenge and overcome us, but we have to focus on the identity, and we focus on the values. In one sentence, let's think of technology and AI as a means and not an end in education. And thank you so much.
You made us think about and dream of the metaverse. The metaverse, the Google that you are seeing now, it can take you from the world, the existing world in which you are right now, to another world. So you can wear the Googles, or you can find yourself in the Maldives, or something you can ever imagine. I remember like 8 years ago, my engineer Abdurrahman, he was a civil engineer. He had to go to the classroom and to go to the workplace to try to see the infrastructure. If Abdurrahman were a student at this time, he could have used the Google where he can see the field, the site while sitting in the house. So saving time and effort, and also optimized the scientific production. It can also be applied to the medical field. And at the end of the lecture, Mr. Ahmed will explain about it in more or further details. I don't know whether you have caught up with education based on the AI. Can you tell us about a great difference between both? I was born in 1994, so we are from the generation. We were just like, if the teacher was quite respected, so we did not have any YouTube channels available, YouTube channel, or the metaverse software were not available or made available to us. So I think that children or students are approaching this process. Education has become not only the focus on the teacher, but also depending or based on number of channels. Dr. Abtesam, I was quite impressed by the impact of AI models on the identity. As for building national capabilities in the field of AI, particularly in the education process, how can we build capabilities for the public or government institutions? How can you recommend this? From my perspective, from my experience in AI, not from education perspective in general. The Ministry of Education has, Dr. Ahmed bin Elhon, has updated the education process, especially in merging the AI with the education process in the United Arab Emirates. How can today we build capabilities, as my colleague said, building capabilities it doesn't mean that somebody is not like a holder of like iCloud or AI bachelor degree, but they should have like group of skills that can allow him or her to be introduced to this field. So building capabilities should be based according to the recipient's capabilities or the potentials. So it's quite important today to know about what are the trends of the United Arab Emirates in this field, and what are the missing fields in the field of digital economy, in the field of energy. What are the potential that we need to optimize such skills for the primary and for the secondary school, and how to add intensive training courses to refine the skills and the basic experiences in this field. It does not mean that the bachelor degree is worthless. Bachelor degree can also lead you to the postgraduate studies, and also it's an essential part for somebody, the concept of now the concept that once you obtain the PhD degree,
is the highest degree, but it's a license to make you acquire for the scientific research tools in any field that you, not only, it does not mean that you are an expert in this field, but you have the basic skills or qualifications for research and science and study. So we can find a doctor graduating from the AI to create like skills in for the energy field. They can the basic skills to build, but he had the foundation or the infrastructure to build capabilities. So we have to know first, before how to determine how to build the capabilities, we have to know exactly what are the trends of the United Arab Emirates. So what are the fields to preserve the economic and the social development in a sustainable way, based on which we can build the necessary capabilities. Doctor, in the future, like AI skills can be based on courses or to be imposed on the student within the scientific research activities, and each one can be specialized, like just something like it's an introductory course in the AI. If he can employ the AI in the field of his specialization. The AI is such a diversified one, like mathematics to the application. So now we are talking today about just like building the algorithm team, which we call AI model. So this person that will be trained to build capabilities to teach skills in physics and mathematics, and also the applied capabilities. How can they differ from the capabilities which can enable him to do extract the algorithms, and how also to integrate such things with these of developed applications. We also need independent experiences in the genetics, engineering, and energy. So all such basic skills should be acquired, and there should be the infrastructure, the foundation. So we can give them course or like lectures or simple courses. What do you mean by AI? What algorithms? Why the iCloud? What are the applications? The qualitative and quantitative applications, and they are the key topics to build the models of the AI, the advanced AI models. And he or she can choose or can select which one he is or she is suitable for, to benefit from him professional wise, to teach so that they can build their capabilities in this field.
We move to the point which has been mentioned by the speakers. In the past, there was a teacher, a school, and a female social worker. And now, if we oppose that AI in the future will finish our roles, I ask you, do you agree? If you agree, how will education will look like in the future? I am going to connect what you said. Any means which emerged, cancel the previous means. For example, yes, if we have the broadcasts in the past, now we have the TV, which cancelled the broadcasts, and so the shape or the form has been changed. The education will produce outcomes, and the education way or method will be different. Teaching method will be different. If we enable the teachers to become a digital teacher, and will use the same language that children use, so we don't want to make the gap bigger. For example, if I'm required to teach digital methods, and the children know how to use this language, so it will be a failure. So the schools must be equipped. We must have legislations. So we cannot neglect that the education will stop. The education is developing all the time. But I'm telling you the fears we have. When I talk about the social transformation, when the education started, people were afraid of the box. This is the production of Jenny. And even when the TV started, people were afraid or worried. So after that, we had a lot of things, and people were afraid, and where these things came. So AI started, and the internet. And I remember in this topic in 1985, there was a conference with the media ministers to discuss the TV invasion on the children. And the UAE at that time issued a program, Baba Yassin, the artist Yassin, who moved from Bahrain to the UAE, and we want you to produce a program called Baba Yassin. And the children were afraid that time, and the TV will have a bad effect on the children. So the fear of TV and what will the TV will introduce in 1985. So the internet had fears when it started. So the transformation, the community must be adapt with this, so they can take the good things and the bad things. So the community goes through changes. So I focus on the positive sides of AI. For example, I prepared for this session. What are the good things? What are the bad things of the AI? So when we look at the positive sides of AI, AI is positive. But I am afraid or worried about the historic information. But for example, if we spread the electronic information on the children, if the information is wrong, so we build our generation on wrong information. But now, today, our countries and Bahrain and the UAE or the GCC enhance this economy, and we talk about the white economy, and all the world has been talking about white economy. The white economy is based on the AI and the technologies, and it has become a big market, and there is a big concern on this market. So we'd like to connect education with the market of workforce. So we focus on all these things. From the positive side, we see that we are walking on the right path, and we think positively. We try to get use of AI from our work, and there are many fields of life we use AI, and we focus on the digital media, and we use the best things of digital media. So the communities or the private sector, they go through any change, so we must have the priorities. We must have the best things. Let me talk about the identity. In the past, we talk about how to preserve the heritage in the past. We are done with the heritage now. We preserve our heritage. So with the coming stage, as you have mentioned, that we are going to get the AI in our heritage. So we'll talk with a lot of people about AI. So the gap which we preserve, we try to practice this in a different way, shaping the identity in the framework of family, the AI, and the digital revolution. So the role of the organization to bridge the gap and shaping the identity has some challenges. Yeah. Yes, you're right. In the past, the family brings up, the school brings up, the uncle brings up. These things do not exist as they used to be. What we add is giving more information, and we must focus on the programmers who inputs the electronic content with accurate information, with accurate devices. So there is a big role by the journalists or media people So they try to provide the social media with correct information, accurate information. In the past, the school used to give information from his side only. There was no interaction in the past. In 1 minute for each speaker, please. What if you were in a position in education management and using AI in the private or the education sector? What are your recommendations that we come out with? I believe there are a lot of recommendations that we can make them very brief. We must develop the people who deliver education or are concerned with education, who must issue some legislations in the country. We move to the digital economy. When we talk about curriculums, there must be a big team to talk about identity, about history, about heritage, and there are a lot of things. I am concerned on history more. We must teach the youth our heritage. We must talk about the successful stories. Each family has successful stories, but we don't spread them among people. We enhance the positive content through social media and through the internet or the digital content. There are nice and successful stories which are connected with the national identity. If we have bad information, we spread them. But if we have good information, we forget about it. So we must enhance the positive content, and digital identity is very important. We must show the whole world our national identity, which includes the customs and inflations and the values, the identity of my country through AI. My colleague has talked enough. We preserve the basic values of education in all the stages of study. We must preserve this, enhancing the curriculum, the modern methodologies by using digital ways. We must study all these things. We have a generation that will succeed our generation, current generation. So we must focus and study all the IE from all its sides. What are the directions? What are the things that we must preserve to enhance the pioneering country and preserving the identity? What are the modern technological, digital technology which we must use to achieve our goals? I believe the role of parents is a very huge, important in the Ministry of Education. So the role of the parents today, by understanding the Holy Quran and the speeches of our Prophet Muhammad, my father belongs to an old generation and used to visit the school. So there is a gap. So the weaknesses need the intervention of the parents and to follow what their children are doing at the school. Thank you, Dr. Yunus.
I was honored to moderate this discussion. Now, I open the floor. I think we raised most of the question because we are running out of time now. This is one of the most important aspects of the state of the art of technology. Now we have spent like in an hour and a half. We are now living in an electronic isolation, so you can spend the 3 hours and not feeling with anybody. So we are not thinking with each other. We are not feeling each other. So body language now is more more common now. Thanks, Dr. Sam. I was honored to moderate this panel discussion. Now the floor is for Mr. Ali. No, now we move to announce the recommendations raised by the speakers. Fahd Al-Mehri. The trains global sector trains at the research and advisory center. The recommendations now. Peace of God be upon you. Your Highnesses and Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear attendees, thank you for your presence and your relentless follow-up for our topics of the conference dealing with education and identity in the digital age, proposed strategies for preserving the identity and shaping the youth behavior. In the beginning, I would like to thank our partners and the Bahrain Institute for Political Development for sharing us. We start with the community. The importance of preserving the national identity for collective communities and individuals, which is considered one of the most important challenges which our community is facing now, especially with the ongoing accelerated changes which had a negative impact on the national relations instilled for years. Secondly, education is the cornerstone to build the identity of the good citizen, and this personality cannot extract from the components of the society. Thirdly, to sustain the pillars of the education, especially the early education. Also to sustain the important role of education in society, and to preserve the national identity and community identity. Fifth, to design innovative and creative to sustain the positive aspects. Six, to sustain exchanging the experience between decision makers and institutions in order to build an education effective strategy. Also to enhance the efforts of the country to enhance and to prepare the students to contribute in the developed economic development, coping up with the fourth industrial revolution. 8, and last one, to enhance the interest in the Arabic language and the national identity and the elements, in addition to making benefit of the experiences of the advanced countries in the field of education and using the basic practices in the education process. Thank you for your follow-up. Hoping and looking forward to seeing you in further events and different meetings. Thank you so much again. Now, we invite His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Abdullah Ali to honor the speakers of the second panel discussion.
تروح بقى.
of course, at the end of the conference, on behalf of myself and Trends Research and Advisory Center, we would like to thank Bahrain Institute for Political Development for their partnership and for sharing us with Her Excellency, the doctor, that hopefully we accomplished the process in a timely manner, hoping to be up to the standard and looking forward to seeing you again in different and upcoming events that enrich our culture. And also thanks to His Excellency, the Minister, His Highness the Minister, and also to Mrs. Iman Jenahi and our teamwork from our friendly country, the Kingdom of Bahrain. Thank you again, and thank you for the audience. Thank you so much.